Welcome folks, today's video is going to be making a basic bird shape. What we're going to need for that is our marzipan. I have five different sizes of marzipan, one of 1.5 ounces. I have one piece of 0.6 ounces, and then I have two pieces of kind of between 0.1 and 0.15 ounces. The two smaller pieces will be the wings. The small ball will be the head and the big ball will be the body, and then I just have a small little bit cut out that I'm going to use to make the beak. What we're going to end up with is something like the little guy next to me, a European robin, and yeah, so let's get into it. First thing I'm going to need to do is take a little cheesecloth full of confectioner's sugar and just pat down gently on the table. Basically, marzipan is super high in oils, so as I begin to work with it, it's going to get more and more sticky. So by putting some confectioner's sugar on the table, I have something that is usable, something that this guy isn't going to stick to. I'm going to make a ball with my hands, and then just on one end, I'm going to press down gently so that it begins to taper off. And I'm going to end up with a shape that is something like so. Okay, kind of much thicker at one end than another, like so. It should fall over, and then I'm just going to keep pressing on the small end to bring it to something of a point, like so. Okay, something of a point, like so. I'm then going to flatten off the bottom and point my tail, and that will give me the general shape of the body of a bird, and in this case the body of a robin. If you have a bird in mind that has a longer body, we just continue the process. So once I have the body of the bird made, next thing I'm going to do is attach the head. To do so, I'm going to need a small container of water with a paintbrush. That's going to give me sticking. Okay, confectioner's sugar plus water gives me something kind of something that imitates a glue. And I'm also going to need my my gum paste tools or my marzipan tools, pottery tools, whatever you know it as, just to give myself some depth and some formation of kind of texture in the bird. So I'm going to take the second size of the ball, roll it into something more or less spherical. I'm then going to brush some water onto the bottom of the bird or the head, and then place it gently onto the marzipan so that I end up with something that looks kind of like a rubber ducky. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is start with my ball-tipped marzipan or my ball-tipped tool, just even out around the edges so that it doesn't look like it's just one ball sitting on top of another ball. It will actually look like something that's a little bit more kind of natural and a little bit more like our bird looks. And once I've gone all the way around, I can then come back with my finger and begin to smooth out all of the kind of creases and rough edges that go on here. If there's any part of it that's a little bit unstuck still, I can just add a little bit of water, and by pressing it together I should remove any cracks that there are left in my marzipan. Once I get to this point, I'm going to have my robin with its super kind of chunky body and its kind of big head. So it has a generally small body by comparison to the head, and I can move on to making the wings. So for making the wings, again, a little bit of confectioner's sugar on my table, and then just by hand I'm going to start pressing out my marzipan into the shape of a wing. Okay, remember there's two wings. They don't need, or one doesn't need to be perfect, because the second one can just be the same shape and they are both going to be wing-like in the end. So press it out to something that looks kind of like a teardrop. Okay. okay? And then begin to point off my edge again. But remember, wings are very thin at the edges, so I want to press gently along the edges or along the tips of the wing to give myself two things. Firstly, it's going to give me the kind of the texture that I would get from feathers on a wing, so it's kind of rough looking, and also it's going to give me that nice light feeling to the side or to the wings of the bird. So once I have one done, I then place that guy down, and because my marzipan weighs the same, it should be possible to then press the second wing out to the exact same dimensions and look exactly the same as the first wing. So again, start with my teardrop shape, okay? And once it gets to something that's more or less similar to the size of the first, or to the thickness of the first wing, I can then start to alter it so that it comes to the same shape, okay? So one sits on top of the other, and I don't see any gaps or differences significantly in the wings. And then I can come back and again press along the edges to get them nice and textured, pointing off my end, so that I'm getting lots of thinness and lots of lightness in the shape of the wings. And again, place one on top of the other. I don't see a significant size difference in them, so I'm pretty happy with how these guys are going to look. So now I'm just going to attach the wings. Okay, and again, I'm going to take a little bit of water onto my marzipan. You can also use alcohol for this, a vodka or a Kirsch kind of alcohol, so something clear works super well as well. But I'm just using water because it's to hand and it is much more or much cheaper if you're making a lot of these guys. So the shoulder of a bird, obviously not all of it is wing, so I need to eliminate the line that's down the front of the bird here to make sure that it looks kind of as natural as possible. So to do that, I'm going to take my ball tool again, and I'm going to just press gently down what will be the chest of the bird joining the shoulder. Then I come back with my hand and I press that in as well. And I can always, I will do the same for the second wing. Again, a little bit of water, attach the wing, press it in, okay? And again, taking my ball tool, just press down gently to eliminate that line. And just press and kind of pat gently to get rid of it completely, which will give me the shape of my bird and its wings. So, last thing I now need to do is add the eyes and add the beak. To add the eyes, pretty simple, okay? For this guy, for the robin that's here, I have two little marzipan balls that I colored black, and I also colored the beak black before I attached them, and then spray painted the colors for the robin and then attached the eyes and the beak. So if you were to spray paint the bird first and then add your colored marzipan afterwards. What I'm going to do, 2 small balls of marzipan for the eyes, okay, super tiny, and then 1 triangle or pyramid size or style piece of marzipan for the beak. Press it down like so, get it to a nice point, because the less I have to manipulate this once it's attached, the better. Next thing I do, take my my tool, okay, and I'm going to mark 2 holes for the eyes into which these balls will fit, okay. The reason is the bird's eyes are not stuck to the side of the head, they're kind of recessed, so I'm making 2 recesses more or less in the same spot either side of the head. So there's 1, and then using my finger I like to use that as the reference point for the other side and just make 2 small indentations either side. Always look at the size of the indentations, because if it doesn't match up to the, or if it's not slightly bigger than the ball, you need to go back and do it again. I then take a pointed pastry tool, take the eye, okay, and the eye is just going to pop straight in to the hole that I made for it. And similarly on the other side, take the other ball into the hole for the eye, and that's how I make the eyes for the bird. For the beak, I just take my tool again, and just make sure by looking at it side on that it's the correct size, okay, and it's in the correct proportion for what you're looking for. Again, press in with your tool, take your pointed tool and just place your beak into the bird, and there we have it. One small robin-like bird made from marzipan. As I said, it can then be, you can then use paintbrushes, you can use an airbrush to colour it and to turn it into whatever type of bird you want, be it a robin, a crow, a raven, a cardinal, whatever it may be. This is how we make our bird shapes.